everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's NADA webinar. My name is Ashley Smith, and I will be your host. From all of us at the National Automobile Dealers Association, we're happy to have you. Today's webinar will be recorded and available on NADA's website. As a quick reminder, NADA.org is an online resource and learning tool available to you and your entire team as a free member benefit. Each of your staff members can create their own login and access over 500 online resources today, including webinar and NADA show workshop recordings. We have an hour scheduled for this webinar, including Q&A. Please type any questions you have for our presenters into the Q&A box. You can find this located at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation. At the end, we'll ask as many questions as we can in the time allotted. This webinar has been prepared for informational purposes only and is not intended to constitute legal advice. Participants should contact their attorneys to obtain advice with respect to any particular legal matter. With that out of the way, today's topic is Nav Vault, helping dealers control their data. Powered by Authenticom's Dealer Vault, Nav Vault will help dealers securely transfer and share their data among vendors as needed. This syndication enables secure, effective, and compliant data management for dealerships. Nav Vault provides dealers with a simple, transparent approach that maximizes data flow efficiency, reduces costs, and lowers risks. Our presenters today are Michelle Phelps, VP of Sales at Authenticom, Denny Boynton, Chief Information Officer at Authenticom, and Jason Trifon, President of Canada International Operations and Global Business Development at Authenticom. We are honored to have you here today on the NADA webinar stage. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Ashley. It's wonderful to be here with you all, with us here. And on behalf of all of my colleagues globally here at Authenticom, we're exceptionally excited to talk about Nav Vault, powered by our Dealer Vault tool here at Authenticom. And that was a great preamble. Michelle, you could please advance to the next slide. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Because for a title purpose perspective, Ashley, not only did you nail my title, but apparently I have the longest title in automotive. So I want to say a special thank you to our marketing team for shortening it on the screen. My name is Jason. I'm the President of Canada and International Business Operations for Authenticom, as Ashley mentioned, and we are super excited to be here with you today. Myself and my colleagues, who will introduce themselves in just a minute here, have a lot to take you all through, a lot of material and a lot of ground to cover. A little bit about your presenter that you're hearing from right now. My name is Jason. Been in the space for roughly 20 years. Founded a company back in 2005 by the name of Vital Insights, which was a customer experience management organization that was used globally by car manufacturers and their dealers, which we ultimately exited in 2012. Have also held positions at iSky in the United States as the CEO of that organization, as well as by way of merger into a company by the name of Ibex, which we took public on the NASDAQ in 2020. A little bit about me, I'll come back in a minute, but without further ado, I'd love to introduce Michelle to you all.
Thank you, Jason. My name is Michelle Phelps, and I lead the sales department here at Authenticom, which includes our go-to-market teams along with our sales success teams. I joined Authenticom in 2015, and with almost a decade of automotive experience under my belt, I bring a valuable insight to the table by way of understanding the data landscape. I'm very fortunate in my role here to collaborate with so many wonderful people in our industry, whether it's vendors needing data to OEMs, DMSs, CRM companies, large and small dealership groups, all the way down to the local mom and pop independent dealers who need help transforming their data. I love putting together customized solutions for everyone that might need a little help. Excited to be here with you all, and I will turn it over to Denny to introduce himself.
Thanks, Michelle. It's good to be with you, everyone. My name is Denny Boynton. I'm the Chief Information Officer at Authenticom. I've been with the company for about 6 years now. By way of professional pedigree, I've been in the industry, the technology industry specifically, for about 30 years, and I've been fortunate to do just about every job there is to do in technology, from building data centers and managing servers and to writing software. I had 6 years experience with Anheuser-Busch, where I was on their enterprise architecture team. And before anyone types it in the chat window, yes, we did get free beer every month. And the only reason I would have left a sweet job like that was because I got an offer from Microsoft, where I spent the next 10 years working as a field architect for them. I started my own consulting business after I left Microsoft, and that's how I came into contact with Authenticom. There's a fun story there, but I don't have time to tell it right now. And they offered me a position to be their CTO starting in 2020, and I moved into the CIO position last year. So that's a quick rundown on me. I'll be back to talk to you in a little while about security at Authenticom. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Denny. Appreciate it. As we move on, we put together an agenda today that we thought would be great for you all to get a good understanding of, first of all, who is this Authenticom company and what are they bringing to the table? Specifically after that, the challenges that our industry faces today in relation to data syndication. So this is the data movement from the dealerships throughout to vendors to power the automotive industry and what that means. We're going to explore the overarching benefits of Nav Vault, powered by our Dealer Vault tool here at Authenticom, and what that means to you, and how specifically you can utilize Nav Vault within your environment. And show that there's an easier way for dealerships in North America today to control their data flow within their environment to the vendors, those special vendors that power their dealerships amongst multiple programs. It wouldn't be an automotive services company like ourselves if we didn't come out of the gate with key objectives that we wanted to achieve today with you all. Our objectives for sure are that we want to make sure that you have a good understanding of Nav Vault and what our partnership is, powered by our Dealer Vault tool, to understand the benefits of data syndication and how that will empower your stores, or if you're a vendor that's dialing in, how that can empower your programs with the stores that will be utilizing the product. And as we move along, we'll be talking about the ownership of data and what that looks like for dealers and how they can control with a click of a button who is accessing that data from a very secure data vault or native vault perspective, and have complete control over that freedom of movement. So with that, a little bit of tidbits about us as a company. First of all, we've been in business for close to 2 decades, and we are very, very proud to be the business behind the business, if you will, for the automotive industry. More to come on that in a moment. We currently have close to 10,000 dealers currently enrolled and active on our Dealer Vault tool and growing dramatically. We've won multiple awards throughout the industry, not only for the ingenuity of our products, but more importantly, the security and the wherewithal of our product and the ability of its technological advances. We move, as you can see, a significant amount of data on an annual basis exclusively for the automotive vertical market. Over 6 trillion data records delivered on an annual basis, and we're growing at an impressive clip. More than 3,000 dealer setups are being done annually and growing, and we're pretty proud of that. So from a client-based perspective, we're a little bit of the secret that no one wants to talk about, if you will. We're being the business behind the automotive business per se. A lot of people don't realize the power and the strength and the pedigree, most importantly, of our organization for some of the most world-renowned vendors within the space that we move data for on behalf of their programs and their implementations. The best part about that is we speak dealer very fluently. We understand the dealer environment very, very well. And we know specifically at the store level how important your data is and how quickly you need to move that data to be successful with your programs that you have, not only within your store, but potentially with your OEMs and so on and so forth. So if you take a look at our scale and the dramatic growth that we've had with our company, you can see within the last few years here that our team has done an amazing job working alongside not only the dealers that are utilizing our programs, but those vendors, those prestigious vendors that power the automotive industry, as well as the OEMs, and we continue to scale just like you see here. And we'll be doing so not only within North America, but we also have our eyes on the European market in the near future too, to power the automotive industry exclusively. We do not operate on a horizontal basis. We don't serve grocery retail. We don't serve hotels and casinos. We only speak auto. We only want to be in automotive, and we're proud to be the business behind the business scaling in automotive. Speaking of scaling, it's a pleasure to turn it over to Michelle Phelps, our Director of Sales, who's going to take it from here. Go ahead, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Jason. So I'm going to give a brief overview of the 4 products that we have on the market today. As you can see on the left-hand side, our core product, Nav Vault, which is powered by our Dealer Vault product, is a data syndication tool pulling from multiple DMSs and sending data through secure protocols. This is the product we'll primarily be focusing on today, but we also have 3 others that many are not aware we offer. You can see our Record Recharge is our data cleansing product that was brought into the market before polling in 2002 by our founder, Steve Cottrell. We are able to focus on areas to correct consumer addresses, emails, phone, and then a vehicle owner verification is a product specifically for automotive. CarPod then is an inventory management solution. Dealer Vault pulls, or Nav Vault pulls from the DMS, but we know dealers are using a secondary IMS, inventory management service. So we're able to merge and source images or other inventory management feeds so that we can send that all seamlessly over to vendors. Then our Contact Via is our newest product, which allows dealers and vendors the ability to understand communication preferences so that we can give consumers personalized experiences, talk about the right message at the right time in the right way. What's great about all 4 of our products today is that they can be standalone or interweave to create a seamless solution that allows us to customize the areas that are important for dealers and vendors alike. Now, before we start talking about what we're all doing here today and discuss Nav Vault, before I really start to peel back the layers of that onion, I think it's important for us to understand what got us here today. I want to give a special shout out to my friend Stephen Dreschel at Dealer Tech Nerd for allowing the use of this wonderful visual because it's a representation of how the dealer management system or DMS is used today. When you look at this picture, the land of DMS data is sometimes the Wild West. You can see the DMS is the core operational system dealers use for many of their processes, from managing parts to desking a deal, managing inventory, and handling the F&I area of their business. To be honest, it gets pretty messy. Without a DMS, it's difficult to run operations in your dealership. Not to mention each and every partner that a dealership uses to help streamline those processes in your dealership. Think about the warranty companies you might use, the credit monitoring, website providers. They all need this DMS data to help you manage your operation, which brings me to our next slide. As I go through Nav Vault, I really want you to picture this visual because I see this so much when talking to individuals in our industry. On the left, you can see that we have a dealership connected to its DMS. And then the DMS is syndicating data on behalf of the dealership to many vendors. Data's flying all over the place, and we really have no one consolidated place to view everything that is going on with the dealer's data. On the very upper left, we also see this a lot, where a dealership might be sending vendors DMS data directly through manual downloads. And then in the top right corner, you can also see some vendors are sending data to yet another partner. And my question to you all is, how do you keep track of all of this at the dealer level? What happens when you take this picture and multiply it by 10, 20, 50, 100 dealers in a group? Which brings us to what we're here to talk about, Nav Vault. So let's address the elephant in the room because I've been asked this so many times over the last couple weeks when we announced this strategic partnership. Nav Vault is the outcome of a strategic alliance between NADA and Authenticom to give dealers more power over their data syndication. Nav Vault is powered by our existing Dealer Vault product that was launched in 2014 in the market. So when you think of Nav Vault, it's essentially a white labeling of our existing Dealer Vault product. Now let's get into the fun stuff. The Nav Vault platform is a comprehensive data management and syndication tool specifically designed for automotive dealers and vendors. It gives dealers control down to their data down to the field level and full visibility into where their data is going at all times. Dealers partner with vendors for services they offer, and vendors need that data to help you in your dealership. Our purpose is to make that connection as simple as possible and give everyone full transparency and control over the process. We give dealers and their chosen partners all the tools you need in one centralized dashboard to make data feed management easy. But really, how does it work? Without giving too much away of that secret sauce, Authenticom can receive data in multiple methods from our various integrations, either through API, SFTP, or dealer-driven deliveries of data, which we ingest into our secure environment. We are then able to standardize and add basic hygiene to that data that we receive, and then dealers can send that to various partners. So think things like VIN explosion, so that your VIN data is in a consistent format, or CAS standardization, which helps ensure that address data is in the same format. Once we run it through those processes, dealers can then control which vendors they would like to give access to. So the benefits for dealers are able to create operational efficiency using Nav Vault for their data transfer. They have full visibility into where their data is going in one platform. I like to think of it as one secure platform to rule them all. That's my inner Frodo Baggins coming out a little bit, but we truly believe data integration doesn't need to be painful, time-consuming with a bunch of red tape and added fees. We simplify the process so dealers can get data flowing to their partners. The best part? You only have to do one setup with us. Remember that visual with data going everywhere? Each time a new vendor needs to get dealership data, it's a whole new setup. With Nav Vault, dealers integrate with us once versus managing each integration as a one-to-one connection. Once your DMS data is integrated with Nav Vault, you can utilize your online account to turn feeds on or off. You can select the fields your vendors receive and even view the actual data files that were sent to your vendors, offering dealerships full control and transparency of your data. And I'll be doing a demonstration here of our dealer Nav Vault platform in just a minute. But we're leaving out a big part. It all sounds really great for the dealers, but there's so many vendor benefits as well. Working with over 410 vendors today, we know that data integration can be very difficult. And trust me, I've heard so many stories over the last decade. Each integration platform uses different file formats, structures, filters, and it can be painful and very time-consuming for everyone to get a product or service onto the market. When vendors integrate with us, it allows companies to save time and resources to gain access to data. For vendors, I've seen over and over again where dealers already using our platform, data can be delivered in under 2 minutes. Think about that alone and the power which Nav Vault allows vendors the ability to quickly take their products to the next level and focus on innovation versus the back end of it all. As Jason said, we like to say we're the business behind the automotive industry because we power so many of the products and services out there today. Now, before I get into a demonstration and some use cases, I'd like to turn it over to my esteemed colleague, Denny, to talk about an item that I know is top of mind for so many. Denny?
Thanks, Michelle. When I did my introduction, I introduced myself as the CIO. In this particular day and age, that also means I have the unenviable task of being the chief security officer of the company as well. I'm responsible all up for the team that makes sure that all of the data that Michelle was just describing is kept safe and secure, both in transit and in storage. So I'm going to take just a few minutes here to kind of talk to you at a high level about what we do to make sure that that happens. As the slide says here, security, period. That is our number one priority within the technology team at Authenticom. Let's talk a little bit about that transfer of data. That's a big topic. How do we know that when we pick up data from a dealer and bring it into Dealer Vault, or when it goes from Dealer Vault out to a vendor, it's secure? From the minute it leaves the source system, we make sure that it is strongly encrypted across the wire. What that means, if you're not familiar with that particular term, is that even if a bad actor were to grab data that was in transit, they would be unable to do anything with it. Without a public and a private key to decrypt it, it's completely useless. This is also required by the FTC, and we are fully compliant with that particular legislation. We also use what's called endpoint protection. We have obviously a lot of servers. We use a very sophisticated application called Carbon Black that is able to monitor the operations on any piece of infrastructure that we manage. And it's always on and always looking for potential problems. Something as simple as someone changing an administrative password will actually send an alert out to the entire team, because that could indicate that somebody is getting ready to launch an attack. So we are very confident that should something happen, we will know about it before a bad actor can do anything with that particular activity. A network is really only as good as how it's built. And this is something that we've invested a lot of time and a lot of effort into making sure. And let me describe to you how this works using an analogy that isn't necessarily technical. If you imagine an apartment building, say on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, you basically have a 3 or 4 story building with one single door that faces the street. That's obviously where you come in and out of the building. Most of those doors have some kind of security on them, a lock. If you were able to get into the front door, you could obviously access the hallways and the stairwell, but there's really nothing of value there. You can move around, but everything that's of value is locked inside each apartment behind a door with a deadbolt and its own individual key to open it. This is exactly how we've segmented the network that Dealer Vault and our other products run on. We have to be exposed to the public internet in order to deliver what we deliver. So in order to, that front door, if you will, even if someone were to get in there and they weren't supposed to be, there's virtually nothing of value there for them to do. They would then have to unlock all the other doors where the dealer data, where the applications are stored. All of that is segmented out into their own apartments, if you will, with their own locks and keys. So that is something that helps me sleep better at night, and hopefully that will help all of you as well understand how seriously we take that. The other thing that you have to consider is having backups. We all know this. When something breaks, it doesn't even have to be cybercrime related. Things just happen. We keep what are called immutable backups in our cloud platform. The word immutable is really just an impressive way of saying that those backups, once they're created, cannot be modified and they can't be deleted. Our team can't even delete them. We have to put retention rules on them so that they get removed when they get too old. What does that mean? Another common practice for cyber criminals is once they get access to your system, they find your backups and they encrypt them or they delete them. Neither one of those is an option for anyone in our network. They are going to basically run out of any access there. We also, from a software perspective, we have real-time source code vulnerability. So as we're working on Dealer Vault and our other products, we're checking real time for any potential vulnerabilities in the code itself. So that's outside of the network. We have 24/7, 365 security operations center monitoring. And we also do monthly training for all of our employees. 90% of cyber incidents are initiated by a human error. Many times something as simple as someone clicking on a link in a phishing email. So we've trained everyone in the company and require monthly training to ensure that people are aware of that. Again, these are just a few of the things that we do at a high level, but I did want to show you that this is how we keep dealer data secure and keep our operations moving. I'm happy to take any questions at the end. Thank you, Michelle. I'll kick it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Denny. We know how Security is of the utmost importance. So going over that is very helpful for everyone. I'm now going to go over 3 different ways dealers are using our products and services today. But I just wanted to remind anyone that if you have any questions, we will save them for the end and address them. So be sure that you are putting those in the Q&A box. So 3 real-world examples. I am going to be talking about AMSI, Walters Automotive Group, and the Modern Automotive Group. So let's start with my friends over at AMSI. AMSI honestly is cutting edge when it comes to compliance and security and control of a large group at the corporate level. I was recently down visiting them in West Palm Beach and having 128 active dealers using services today. You can imagine just how robust a data syndication tool needs to be to meet the needs of this large group. Using our syndication platform allows our friends the ability to control down to the field level and audit each one of their dealer locations. They average about 10 different vendors per location right now. So if you remember that initial visual on data transfer, you can just imagine that picture multiplied by 128 and what that looks like for them. They're able to securely and quickly handle all of their data syndication by simply logging into the Dealer Vault platform today. Our next case study is a very different way that a dealership group might want to utilize our Nav Vault platform. We set up the Walters Automotive Group to receive their own data back in 2017 to create some custom reporting for their internal needs directly out of their DMS. The Walters Automotive Group is able to manage their internal operations and streamline many of their internal processes without missing a beat. They have an internal marketing team that can grab their data and fire it off and do any sort of campaigns at any given time because they're set up to receive their own data out of the Dealer Vault platform. Next is the Modern Automotive Group, and this one is relatively new, and we see this particular situation happen quite a bit. I'm currently working with a great friend of mine, April Simmons, at the Horn Automotive Group, doing exactly the same thing today. So not only did we see a case where a dealer just wants to use the Dealer Vault platform like AMSI or become their own vendor, such as the Walters Automotive Group, Modern wanted to become their own vendor to receive their own data, but then they layered in all of the hygiene. We know that DMS data or CRM data, it's garbage in, garbage out. We want to make sure that it's as accurate as possible. So we are running all of their data through our phone, email address, and vehicle owner verification. So think of making sure phones and emails are accurate, or if you have missing pieces of that customer puzzle, we're able to then backfill and pre-populate some of those pieces of vital information that you might need for that consumer. And then vehicle owner verification. So I didn't touch on this one earlier, but this product is one of my favorites to talk about because we know that the average person changes a vehicle every 2 to 3 years. Well, when you look back in your DMS data, how do you know if a consumer is still driving that particular vehicle? So by taking a unique identifier, a last transaction date, and a VIN number, we're able to understand if that consumer is still actually driving the vehicle that you have on record. We will eventually layer in contact via for the Modern Automotive Group, which then we can truly give them a unique experience. And like I said, we do this with many of our dealership groups today. Now I'm really excited to get into a demo with all of you. So I am going to slide our Nav Vault platform over. So what you are looking at here is the dashboard that a dealer would be dropped into. And this is a great representation of what is happening at the dealership at just a very quick glance. On the left hand, you can see that there could be some feed approvals needed. So our Nav Vault platform is designed so that a vendor can initiate a relationship or a dealer can initiate a relationship. And I'll show that to you in a minute. But if any vendors are requesting to receive your data, you can simply activate that data feed by reviewing and approving that data feed directly from this. You can also see the store summary and what is going on with your dealership group, and you can have one dealership on here, or like I said, hundreds of dealers if they are within your group. And then on the very right-hand side, you can see that feed connection health just at real quick glances. So if I look at the View Connections page, you're able to see very quickly where all of your data is going, how long they have had access to it, what is their schedule. Some vendors that we work with, we know that they might need daily, weekly, monthly data. You're able to come in here and understand that at a very quick glance for all of your stores. All of your stores, you can see them listed here on the top right-hand corner. Or you can also see group management. So say you have hundreds of dealers within your dealership group, you're able to quickly audit every single one of the dealership connections that you have with your chosen vendor partners. You can see first delivery, last delivery, record count, and say you stop working with a vendor. By simply hitting this edit feed button, you're able to understand what is going on with that or deactivate that data feed. You'd be surprised how many times I talk with different dealership groups and will ask them, go and run a report within your DMS and pull a report of all of the vendors that are getting your data today. Again, I've seen this time and time again where there's vendors that have been receiving dealers' data for years that they had no longer worked with. And it was simply because somewhere along the line, someone failed to communicate that they're no longer working with them. Now, when you think about that from a compliance or auditing perspective, that poses a significant problem because dealers, as we know, are liable for that consumer data. So the ability to start or stop a data feed at any given moment is a significant value proposition for the Nav Vault platform. One of my favorite things I'm going to show you is how to quickly add a data feed. So we know that the average number of vendors a dealership might work with typically is between 8 to 10. And from a drop down here, you're able to select all of our vendors that we are currently working with. So dealership ABC starts working with vendor 1, 2, 3. You can select them from a drop down on here, and then it will take you into exactly what that particular vendor is requesting. We know that some might need inventory only, some might need sales and service, dependent on what that relationship looks like between dealer and vendor. You're able to understand what the data needs are. But say they're requesting something and you're like, I really want to know exactly what data they're getting. By simply clicking on these fields, you can see all of the data that we are delivering to that particular vendor. If you're uncomfortable with, say, sending customer birthdays, you can simply uncheck that and we will not deliver that to your particular vendor partner. Or you don't want to send any information about the employees that might have worked on that particular sales transaction. You can deselect all, and the same would apply. We do not deliver any data to any vendor partners without explicit consent of the dealership that is managing the Nav Vault platform. So there's all kinds of different things in here, and each one of these fields that you see are custom to that particular vendor. There's also filters that we are able to apply on the back end as well. So a particular vendor might need finalized and booked deals, or they might need a particular make or model of a vehicle. We're able to put all of those filters in there and again allow the dealership to control what data they are receiving. Any stores that you might have within the Nav Vault platform, you're able to simply add those exact same data fields, filters, everything to the entire group. So instead of having to do this for every single dealership, for every single vendor, you're able to add the whole group in a seamless transaction. The next thing I want to take you through is our data removal tab. So we always like to build with our dealers in mind, and as the industry progresses, we know that there's different laws and legislation that might come out. So this data removal functionality within the Nav Vault platform was specifically designed prior to CCPA being rolled out, where we can opt out an entire state if needed, or one of your consumers at the dealership says, don't share my information with anyone, where we give you the ability to ensure that that customer opt-out is available, and then we will remove that consumer information from any data deliveries that you might have with any of your chosen vendor partners. So you can come in here, you can add them. Like I said, it's either a whole state, the whole group, or by the individual consumer as well. One of the other things I always like to point out here is that this mapping tool, it's one of my favorites, because we know that as dealers, you guys use your DMS in all different various ways. Fields are input in different things. So we want to ensure that the fields that you are inputting are actually mapped accurately so that we can deliver them to your vendor partners. So if at any time anyone wants to come in and tweak a little bit of where data is being mapped to within the DMS, we're able to do that in here. The next thing I'm going to take you through is this reporting functionality. Now this has been something that we have had in place for a very long time, but it became, critical over the last few weeks in order to help dealers have access to their own data. So with the recent events, if dealers were using our platform, they were able to come in here and they could have by store or the entire group, and they were able to download any data that we might have had. So for instance, if you needed to access your inventory files right away, or your parts inventory, or you wanted to understand what consumers recently received sales or service in here, you were able to come in here and download that and have that for your own internal purposes if needed. The last thing I want to really go over here is the user management platform. So we know that dealership turnover, it happens to everyone, but access is sometimes forgotten about. Who has access to my data and control over my data? So at any time, you're able to come in and see exactly who has access. You can deactivate a user immediately so that they no longer have any control over that. One of the other things you can do though as well is you can delegate some of the different roles within your dealership. They can, have a group level access, or by individual store, they can be in view only, they can approve feeds, or handle some of just the management of your data. So that was a real quick overview of the Nav Vault platform. And what's the cost? I'm sure that's on everyone's mind. But the cost of Nav Vault for our dealers, we like to say free 99. We have no hidden cost. This is a free tool that NADA and Authenticom are offering to all of our dealers. But then we are a vendor pay model. So we believe in full transparency across the board down to our pricing. And so we charge $50 per month per dealer, again, giving that total control back in the palm of your hands. So without further ado, because I want to ensure that we leave enough time for questions, we're ready to answer.
And we have a lot of them. Can't thank you all enough for all the questions that are coming through. So a couple of things that Michelle, Denny, and myself are going to do is we're going to, just based on the volume of questions that have come through, we're going to answer as many as we can based on the time that we have left. If you, by any chance, didn't get your question answered, we apologize. Please, please, please feel free to reach out to myself, Michelle, or Denny. Specifically, Michelle's email address will be shown on screen at the end. My email is the same as Michelle, should you wish to send it to me or to Denny. But we're gonna start going into some of these questions and answer them for you as a group. So Michelle, why don't we start with how often can I send data?
Yeah, that is a great question. So typically Nav Vault delivers data on a nightly basis, but if you require real-time integrations, we do have some solutions available to you. So absolutely feel free to reach out to myself and we can talk about your unique needs for data syndication.
And part B to that question was, how long does it take to get set up and send my data to a vendor?
That is such a great question. That is one of my favorites. So it's truly dependent on how eager you are to start data syndication. So our teams, we have a wonderful, wonderful integrations team that are ready at the standby to help you through that. The typical turnaround time to integrate with our dealer partners is about 3 to 5 days, dependent on your DMS. Some DMSs might require a form to be filled out. Some might need a little more hand holding, but it's typically about 3 to 5 days. And everything is very intuitive. We really wanted to ensure when we built Nav Vault, Dealer Vault, that everything was available to you. So at any time you can log on and start creating your account. It will ask some initial information, and then once you hit selection of your DMS, it will kind of start splintering off into the exact requirements that we need. And we take support very seriously, so we love the questions. We're happy to help anyone through those data syndication.
Thanks, Michelle. I'll take the next one. So could using Nav Vault have kept dealer operations more stable during the recent issue within the industry? Do you think the prevalence of cyber attacks on companies will increase? This is an interesting and a very good question, and thank you for answering. I'll say right out of the gate, we're absolutely empathetic to any organization that goes through these things. There's certainly bad people out there, and bad people do try and do bad things. I think the direct answer to this question is for any of our Dealer Vault customers that were live and operational with us, the one thing that they had access to was their data up until the date of any incident happening. It doesn't matter what incident it is. And all of that data is able to be downloaded very, very quickly and easily so that it could be moved or whatever case needed to be done. So I think that specifically is the main advantage that dealers had and or will have in any scenario that could exist within the marketplace. And thank you for the question. A question that was asked of us is, can you send the list of vendors you work with to the attendees? We sure can. I think the easiest thing to do for whoever asked this question, if you would like to email the same question to any one of us, we will pop that over to you in real time. There's obviously a very large list of those companies.
Also,
What
Jason,
is the difference? Sure.
if I could piggyback on that one as well, we also have on the Authenticom website listed most of our vendor partners. So if you'd like to see who we are working with today, feel free to go to the Authenticom website as well.
Perfect. What is the difference between Dealer Vault and Native Vault? Another great question, and thank you for asking it. The shortest and most concise way to answer this question is this is a white label partnership between the two organizations by way of the strength of our product and the value that Dealer Vault brings to the automotive community, not only on the dealer side for sure, but also on the vendor and the OEM programmatic sides. And that's the direct answer. So effectively, it's a white label of our Dealer Vault tool. Dealer Vault is what powers Native Vault within the marketplace between our organizations for everyone involved. What if I don't want to share? This is a good one, Michelle, for you. What if I don't want to share all of my data to certain vendors?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think you should. This is exactly why we created the Native Vault platform. So if you remember in the demo, when we showed adding a data feed, it brings up all of the different fields that any particular vendor is requesting. And you can deactivate as many as you want or deselect all and send just the pertinent information for what that vendor requires. If you do deactivate anything that is pertinent to the vendor platform or program that you have contracted with them, everyone will receive a notification. So the vendor will receive a notification, you will receive a notification indicating that you have deactivated that particular field. And if needed, your vendor can come and have a conversation directly with you and talk to you about the importance of that particular field or a subset of fields that they require. And then you can add them back in. Like I said, we 100% do not syndicate any data to any chosen partner of yours without your explicit consent. This is something I see quite a bit actually, is where a vendor will get set up with us and they will forget a field out of their data feed. Even if they go back and add one field and you've already approved that data feed, we need to regain consent from you for that one field. So like I said, truly controlling down to the field level is what Native Vault is all about.
Thanks, Michelle. Got a couple vendor specific questions that we can package up all together. So part one is what is the advantage to the vendor? Part two, what is the use case for vendors to use the platform if it's a dealer tool? In other words, what's included in the $50 vendor fee? I'll use my company, my former company, as an example. At Vital Insights, Authenticom was one of my providers. Now, we managed as a vendor OEM specific programs. So car company X would contract with us as the vendor for our dealership tool to be installed at the dealership level to obtain from repair order or deal jacket information the service that was completed and the service drive or a sales deal that was completed. And then we would extract the information by way of our vendor, in this case, Authenticom, to then power that OEM program. So this is a use case example where a vendor, to power their program, would need to have Dealer Vault installed by the dealers at the dealer level, so the dealer can control the outflow or the syndication of the data specifically to that vendor, and what data would be flowing to that vendor, most importantly, controlled right from their store. And so A, security and compliance is definitely top of mind. B, control of who's seeing and accessing the data and what data is being flown out to the vendor. And then C, obviously programmatically, everything's functioning. So from a vendor specific perspective, lumping those two questions together, that's the direct answer. Oh, there's a part C. Is there a setup fee for vendors or $50 per month per dealership out the door? And no, there is no, for the dealer, there's no setup fee. For the vendor, it'd be $50 per month.
Also, I'll piggyback on that one a little bit. One of the questions I saw is just what happens if I can't find a vendor in your list? We truly believe in ease of access and the easy button. I wish I had one of those big red easy buttons on my desk because it's very easy to integrate with us if you're a vendor in the industry. A typical vendor can onboard with us in as little as 24 hours, and we have no minimums in our contracts. You pay for the data that you are receiving, and it's truly a customizable experience. And I'm happy to have any conversations with anyone to understand what data you might be looking to receive and give you a personalized demo of the vendor platform, because there is a whole nother side we didn't get to today, which is the vendor platform as well.
So Michelle, here's a great question. Who typically manages this inside of the dealerships?
That is a wonderful question. So it really depends on your dealership. Like I said, we see all walks of life, independents, franchise, large dealership groups. It's really about who you truly have managing your DMS data. It could be the controller, it could be a CTO, it could be the marketing manager that needs to ensure that their data is sent over to marketing partners or website providers, social media companies, BDCs. I could go on and on. It's truly about who you want to work with.
Perfect. We're getting close to time. A couple more questions have just come in.
Sure.
If I deactivate a feed, can the vendor reactivate it without my approval?
Whew, that's a big no-no. Absolutely not. If a feed ever gets deactivated, that vendor needs to retain the permission. Like I said, we truly believe that the dealer needs to understand where their data is going at all times without any sort of back end. This was deactivated, now it's reactivated. No, we need to ensure that we get consent again.
Can your agency push back information to the dealer? I'll take this one, Michelle, give you a chance to catch your breath from all the questions you're answering. The short answer here is yes, dependent on the specific DMS type that you have. We'd like to take that offline with you. Feel free to email us and we'll get in touch with you directly and we can discuss that with one-on-one together. Can we see an example of a report? I'd like to see what they look like. Same answer. Yes, absolutely. We'd love to share that with you. Please feel free to email us and we will certainly provide that over to you. Does our current Dealer Vault login carry over? The short answer is yes, because Native Vault is Dealer Vault, as we addressed earlier. So absolutely, everything is status quo. Can we use it in Mexican territory? Let us get back to you on that. If you wouldn't mind emailing us that as well, we will personally handle that for you directly, just depending on your province and where you're at. Whew, that's a lot of questions. If you have more,
Great
like
job.
I said, and we love it. It's amazing. Like such good content that we're all sharing in questions. If we missed you, please contact us directly. We'll get to you one-on-one. And if you have any other questions thereafter, please feel free to contact us as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Such an informative presentation today. As Jason just mentioned, if we did not get to your question or you're watching this on demand and have a question for the team, please absolutely reach out. Michelle's contact information is on the screen now. We've got a couple ways you can get in touch with us and we're happy to answer those questions for you. As a quick reminder, this webinar and other resources are available to you and your entire team at nada.org. So on behalf of NADA, Authenticom, and Native Vault, thank you all for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all.